All right. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Citizens Review Board meeting for October the 15th. One of the reasons why themselves and we record their vote that way so that we can make sure we can take everything into consideration. And we'll do the same thing for roll call. So at this time, Ms. Stowe, if you don't mind, if you go ahead and do roll call for us.
Okay. Tony Burton.
Present.
Pam Corbett.
Present.
Leon McCullough. Michael Ricker. Kathy McLean. Theodis Chun.
Present.
Beverly Carter Levy. Brittany Spees.
Present.
Michael Fraden.
Present.
Twana Roebuck.
Present.
Emer Masacampo. I think that's it.
You verify we have 7 members present?
7.
Yes.
Great. All right, next thing on here is we have new members. We have Ms. Spears, Mr. Frieden, and also Ms. Roebuck. I'm gonna give you all the opportunity to introduce yourselves, starting with Brittany Spears.
It's actually, everybody makes this mistake. It's actually Spees, but Britney Spears, I get it.
And that R in, and I'm looking at it.
It's okay. You're not the first. You won't be the last. My name is Brittany Spees. I am an assistant federal public defender for the Middle District. My office is in Winston-Salem. What information do you want? I mean, I have been practicing for about a little over 7 years at this point. Went to UNC Greensboro undergrad, Wake for law school. And I was born and raised in Winston-Salem. And I'm still here.
Sounds great. And Mr. Michael Frieden?
Good evening, all. I like Brittany. Brittany and I are colleagues and have been for some years now. It's nice. I haven't seen her in some time, but good to see you again. I also am an attorney. I've been practicing here about 13 years. I own a firm, my partner and I, Clark Dummett, a firm called Dummett Fraden here in town. We have offices here in Winston and Greensboro and High Point. I'm originally from Minnesota via Rutgers in New Jersey, but have been here for, like I said, 13 years. And call my home Winston-Salem in the West End here now. So thank you for having me.
And Miss Tawana, I'm sorry.
It's all right. I am Tawana Roebuck. Some of the community know me as Tawana Wellman Roebuck. I'm the Director of Experiment and Self-Reliance in the community. It's known as ESR. I've been there since 1999. ESR is an agency that started in 1964. Across the state, we are classified as a community action agency. So that means that we work with low to moderate income families and individuals. Here in Winston-Salem, since the 60s, we have 4 core programs. One specifically deals with the homeless, as well as individuals and families that are homeless. We also have relationships with a number of landlords throughout the city to aid people in finding permanent housing. We are a part of the Homeless Council, known as the Continuum of Care. We also do free taxes in our community. When I give speeches, I said, did you hear the part about free? 4,500 taxes are provided for free using volunteers from the local universities and retirees here in our community. We also have a first-time homeowners program. We also assist people in going back to school vocationally. So we've been around a while. Most of our staff are caseworkers or social workers interacting with individuals to help them develop a strategy around long-term permanent self-sufficiency. I'm a nonprofit, probably connected with a number of nonprofits throughout the community, and I'm glad to have this opportunity to serve.
See that we also have some additional city staff on. Ms. Reed, are you available?
Mr. Chair, before we go to city staff, why don't you all introduce yourselves to the new members as well, so they'll know a little bit about each of you, if you don't mind.
I was going to do that at the end, but that's fine.
Oh, okay.
My name's Tony Burton. I'm currently the Human Resources Manager for Forsyth County Sheriff's Office. I've been on the board now for a couple of years. I don't even remember how many, but I'm serving my second term as the chair. Vice Chair?
Hello, I'm Michael Riker. I'm a nurse anesthetist by training, but I work as the chair of academic nursing programs at Wake Forest School of Medicine. So I'm an educational administrator. I'm on the short end of my tenure here. Served as chair and served on the board for a number of years now. So welcome to all the new members.
Theo.
Anybody else? Pam?
I'm Theo Chun, Associate Director for Student Development and Engagement at Winston-Salem State University, also the founder of TCJ Motivations Incorporated, which is a nonprofit. So welcome.
Ms. Pam?
There, Pamela Corbett, trained as a psychologist. I do have a private practice here in Winston-Salem, although most of what I do is leadership assessment and coaching and career counseling.
And now how about those additional staff members?
Before they start, Chairman, of course, I'm Angela Carmen. I'm the city attorney and have been advising the board since Mr. Andrews' departure back in January. But we will have new staff persons advising the board and serving as administrative secretary starting January 1st of next year. But I thought I would at least have them introduce themselves tonight. Ms. Charlene?
Hi, I'm Charlene Gooms. I'm just here to observe.
She will be.
I am a little nervous about stepping into the role in January, so I'm gonna need you all to be patient with me as I learn this role.
She will be the recording secretary. And Ms. Fred?
Good evening. My name is Takesha Red. I go by Keisha, and I am one of the assistant city attorneys here for the city of Winston-Salem. And I've been here just about 5 years now.
And she will be your legal advisor starting next year. So that's it for my city staff. Candace Stowe will be retiring at the end of this year, just so you know.
It is not allowed, Miss Candace. You can never.
Yes, it is.
Thank you. Thank
You're gonna have to come back and work with us now. You can't be leaving us.
What you say?
We're gonna have to keep you on the board. We're gonna make you a member now.
No.
We appreciate you and congratulations on retiring.
Thank you.
I'm gonna close the door.
Okay.
Next thing we have on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from July the 16th. Ms. Stowe, you want to run through those? Anybody have any questions on those if they haven't already reviewed them? If there are no questions, then I'll take a motion to approve.
Move to approve.
Who
Second,
made the motion? Identify yourself in terms of making the motion.
Michael moved and I, Pamela Corbett, second.
Motion has been made by Michael and seconded by Pamela that we accept the minutes as written. Are you ready for the question? All those in favor by saying aye.
Roll
And all you
call.
got to do is wave your hands for me on this one. We'll just look to see that we got them all. We got to call them out by one.
Yeah, she gonna call them out by name.
All right. Ms.
Okay.
Stowe, on you.
And I'm gonna step us out for just a second. I think a member may be trying to call me. Go ahead and do the roll call though.
Okay, Brittany Speaks.
Aye.
Okay. Michael Fraden.
Aye.
Tawana Roebuck.
I'm going to abstain. I wasn't here in July, so I don't know about the minutes.
Did you get it?
That's fine.
I read them.
Okay.
That's fine.
Tony Burton.
Approve.
Pam Corbett.
Yes,
She
approved.
made the second. Michael made the motion. The eldest child.
Approve.
Okay.
So how many is that in favor of the minutes?
Well, that's 6.
Okay.
Ms. Roebuck said she wasn't sure, so.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, so they're approved.
All right, next we have on here the quarterly summary reports. So I'm going to turn that over to our Winston-Salem PD.
Good evening, guys. So for those of you guys that don't know me, my name is Captain Manny Gomez. I am the representative of the Winston-Salem Police Department. I'm assigned to our Professional Standards Division. I'm the commander of that division. Just a little bit of background, I guess, so you guys get to know me since we have new members. I've been working for the police department for 21 years. Throughout that assignment, I've served in about everywhere you can serve in our police department, to include the detective divisions and narcotics and homicides and our SWAT team, our patrol division, our street crimes divisions, and a couple stints in the office of the chief of police as an investigator in our professional standards division, and now back as the commander overseeing the division itself. So that's just a little bit of a basic background for me and my experience here at the police department. I also wanted to introduce to you guys. So currently we have a staff of 4 sergeants that are investigators and 1 corporal, which does all the pursuit analysis and investigations for us. The newest addition is Sergeant Scott York, and he will introduce himself before I get started on these the presentation of the quarterly stats, so you guys can get to know him. That's a tradition that we've had whenever we have somebody that's assigned up here and is new. We'd like for the investigator to introduce himself to the Citizens Police Review Board, so you guys know who is conducting these investigations. So I'll turn it over to Scott, Sergeant York.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Sergeant Scott York. I've been with the Winston-Salem Police Department since 2002. During my time with the police department, I've been assigned to the patrol division, foot patrol, which is a street drug unit. I've been assigned to the detective division. During that time, I did store breaking and house breaking investigations, financial crimes, and finished up doing homicide investigations. At that point, I was promoted to sergeant, and then I moved back to patrol, where I supervised a patrol squad for 18 months. And about 6 to 7 weeks ago, I was transferred to Professional Standards Division. I'm looking forward to it. It's a needed function of the police department, and I'm hoping to contribute the best I can.
All righty. So with that being you guys meeting Sergeant York and having a little bit of background about myself, I'll get started with minutes. If at any point you guys have questions, by all means ask. I guess I'm going to start with a review or an overview of this report. I think there was a question about how to best go about or read this report based on the way it's laid out. So the report that I have before me is the Q2. On the very top, it says IA/PSD complaints by quarter summary citizen, and it says year 2020, and this is for Q2. So if you're looking at the report after that bold line, you'll come down to the left-hand side where it says number of complaints per quarter. That's pretty self-explanatory. That gives you the number of complaints that were actually filed during that time frame. If you go to the right, it says total number of violations per quarter. So essentially what can happen is a citizen can come to the police department or the city secretary and file a formal citizen complaint and make an allegation against an officer and file one complaint. But when we get it within that complaint, that might be several allegations of the covenant, basically, or the rules of conduct that cover our or govern our behavior. There's 34 rules of conduct, and they might make one complaint that contains 3 different allegations. So the number of violations or allegations are different than the number of complaints that are filed. And we capture those different numbers for statistical purposes, and that's why they're reported that way. You'll see differing numbers from what's reported in the quarters, in the number of complaints to the number of allegations. So they're broken down by quarter. Obviously, the one that you guys received for the second quarter does not contain stats for the third and fourth quarter. And when you guys transition to the third quarter, you guys will see that some of these numbers change. So the I guess Reason for them changing is some of these investigations are more of a long-term investigation that don't happen within the quarter, if you will. And some of these cases remain open. And even though we might have a certain number of complaints that have been filed, we have that number. But at the end of at the conclusion of that investigation, the number of violations will change based on what the supervisor or PSD investigator reveals from their investigation. Essentially, a citizen can come in and file one complaint, make 2 allegations within that complaint, but we have a responsibility within the police department to ensure that we investigate everything. So if we uncover additional violations, we are also going to identify those violations and hold people responsible for those violations. So that's where those numbers differ and change as we progress through this reporting cycle. If you look down further at the rules of conduct violation, that area that's grayed out, it's basically breaking it down by the rules of conduct, and it'll specifically list the rule of conduct that's associated with the complaint, and then give you a total number per quarter as to where they're at. So the exonerated, sustained, not sustained, unfounded, and withdrawn, and the open, that's basically the status of the investigation. The exonerated, sustained, not sustained, and unfounded are case closures. And we put a small definition for you guys so you guys understand what the definition or what that word actually means when it comes to an actual investigation that we conduct. So that's basically a pretty quick go through of how to read this document. Does anybody have any questions before I progress into the actual reporting of the statistics? Okay, it's pretty straightforward once you see what you're looking at. For the second quarter, if we're looking at the second quarter citizen, we had a total of 5 complaints that were lodged. And as it remains right now, those allegations were for arrest, search, and seizure, courtesy, departmental directives, and there was 9 alleged violations that have occurred, and those are still open, which means that they were being investigated at the time when this report was generated for the second quarter, which is July 1st. As you will see in the third quarter report, those statistics change like I've reported to you, and the reasonings for that. If you transition over to the second quarter reporting for the departmental instead of the citizen, you'll see that we have the number of complaints for the departmental side are 5, and then we have a total of 7 that are remaining open. Okay, and that was at that time, and those were for use of weapons, abuse of position, conformance to laws, duty requirements, departmental directives, and conduct unbecoming. So that was at the time in July 1st when that report was printed. We'll transition over to the third quarter report, which is a report that you guys should have received earlier today. And we'll start with the citizen portion of that. For the third quarter, we have a reported 4 citizen complaints, and those 4 still remain open. And they consist of arrest, search, and seizure, courtesy, use of force, and abuse of position. And then we transition over to the departmental or internal reporting. And so far we have 6. And out of those 6, 3 of those complaints have actually been sustained, and 3 remain open. And those encompass conduct unbecoming, truthfulness, and operation of motor vehicles. Does anybody have any questions regarding those reports?
Manny, can you explain the difference between citizens versus departmental complaints?
Yes, ma'am. So when we report citizen complaints, that is any external complaint that comes in that's actually a formal complaint that's lodged through the formal citizen complaint process, which means that they have to come down and file a formal complaint with the Professional Standards Division. That's done Monday through Friday, 8 to 5 here, with one of our investigators coming down, and there's a pretty detailed process that they have to follow, and we guide them. We walk them through all those steps to ensure that the citizen has a complete and thorough understanding of the process and what their next step is throughout that process. They can file it here or the city secretary's office as well. The ones that are labeled as departmental complaints, those are internal investigations that are initiated by the chain of command. Traditionally, you will see that the departmental reports are much higher than the citizen reports. And that's because we like to say that we police ourselves. So we have a very robust review process on any incident involving any use of force, any pursuit review, there's a citizen injury, an employee injury. There's a whole slew of incidents that prompt or have initiate basically an internal review. Within that review, we will conduct the review, and if we identify any violations of policy at that time, we will address those, and those will be included within these numbers. So traditionally, our numbers are really high. I think right now we have a lot of stuff. We have some cases that might have not made it all the way up here. It's because it's a very robust system, making it through the chain of command. So as I said before, those numbers tend to change as the year progresses, as we gather all those investigations here in our professional standards division.
Captain, if I may, I'm just trying to process all, and you may have said all this, but the reason the number of complaints changes from quarter to quarter, I understand at the bottom where you add different things, but the number of complaints, why does that change from quarter to quarter? I see 19 quarter one on the report that I received today, the departmental report, and I look at the other one that I received in the packet was 15 in quarter one, 5 in quarter two, and now it says 19 and 19 for number of complaints in quarter one and quarter two in the departmental report. Can you explain why that changes so greatly?
Yeah, so as I noted within the department, what ends up happening is we'll have certain incidents that prompt a review that start like at a supervisor level. So we have all these squads in patrol or any other function of the police department. There's an incident that prompts one of these reviews. One of those incidents could be an employee injury. If we identify a violation of our policy at that point, the only notification that we in the professional standards division receive is an initial notification that an incident occurred. Once that review occurs, it goes through the chain of command from all the way down to the first line supervision, all the way through the second supervisor, the third level of supervision, to the assistant chief level, and then finally making it to the professional standards division. So it goes through multiple levels of review to ensure that all our policies and procedures have been followed. So as you can imagine, that is a lengthy process. We have a lot of incidents that occur on a regular basis through the police department. So it takes some time for all those incidents to progress through the system and us to finally capture if there are any violations from the initial report that we received that, hey, we have an incident occur. We have a lot of incidents that occur that do not show up to have any violations as well, but we cannot capture that information until it makes it to the final step here in the professional standards division, where we can make that assessment that this has gone through the process and everything appears to be fine with it. So that's where that change occurs. So at the time, at the first and second quarter, at the time when the reporting occurred, we only had that information available, but as time progresses and we allow the process to work, those numbers are going to change. Hopefully that's responsive to you.
It was, thank you.
Yes, sir. Anybody have any other questions? Okay. I'll turn it back over.
All right. Do we need to accept those as information, correct?
No, this just reported to you all. There's no need to have a motion on it.
Thank you.
But Mr. Chair, I think we do have an additional member that has joined us, Ms. Carter Levy, if she could identify herself for the record. I think she's by
Hi,
phone.
this is Beverly Carter. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, okay, yes. Hi, this is Beverly Carter Levy.
Okay.
Thank you. Looks like the next thing we have on the agenda is new business. And the first thing there, and I'm going to turn it over to Angela, is this discussion of appointments and reappointments for updated membership lists. You should have gotten in your packet that updated membership list. Does everyone have that?
I think
Yes.
at this point in time, we are actually fully staffed. We have a full body of 11 members. And I think we have now everyone's appointment date and expiration date correct. Michael's, we do have your second or reappointment date of 8/18, and we will insert that on the new list. I think we're current now.
Mr. Chair and Ms. Carmen, this may be something that I should know, but can you remind me what the term of office is? How long are the terms?
It's 3 years.
Okay, thank you. So good, I didn't sign on for life.
No.
You'll find out. We'll recruit you and keep you a little bit. We'll keep you around. Ask Ms. Stowe. All right, let's see here. This next thing on there is training. Angela, you gonna handle that?
Yes, I will. Of course, the new members will need new member orientation or training. And I listed all of the topics because I'm not sure in terms of the current members who has received what training. And certainly the current members are welcome to join the new members for that training. If you all will pull out your calendars, I would like to try to do that training either towards the end of this month or the beginning of next month, and it will be via Zoom. Let's see. If you want to stay with a Thursday, it's October 29th. And then I guess that's November 5th. And then, of course, we have an appeal. Normally, those are reviewed within 30 days unless they're extenuating circumstances. Given the pandemic and everything, I think we could probably push that out to the 13th. But I would like to do the training before the review of the appeal. So you all kind of tell me. You can tell me now, or we can decide offline. Choose a date, whichever you all prefer.
Is there a preference about anybody that's online now?
I would prefer the 5th of November.
Okay.
How long is it and what time are you proposing?
Probably the 6 o'clock time frame. I would say an hour to an hour and a half.
Okay. I could do the 5th as long as it's late enough. I may be stuck in court till about 5:30 that day, but the 29th is a better day for me, but as long as it's 6 o'clock, I could do the 5th, I think.
Okay.
I can do
Why don't we,
I can do November the 5th as well.
oh, okay, good. We'll try to work with that date.
You said
And
November 5th, 9th?
November 5th at 6 o'clock.
And I'm sorry, is this a new board member orientation or some of the other?
It's new member
Trainings.
orientation,
Okay.
but again, it's available open to current members as well. In particular, especially if you don't recall going through each of those topics. Now, one of those, diversity, of course, is available online. And I have received some of the certifications from the members. But for the current members, if you want to attend as well, just let me know. But it's available to you as well.
Clue me in on that one. I'll set through that also.
Okay. Okay. And if you decide later on you want to attend, just shoot me an email. You don't have to let me know tonight.
Did you add my name, Corbett?
I will.
Corbett, okay, thank you.
So my understanding is we are agreeing to November the 5th at 6 o'clock for the new board member orientation.
Yes, and current members can join us as well.
Right. And so you'll send out another date related to the diversity training?
Diversity training is actually online.
Okay.
I sent the link to that in the email. Now, what we do need to talk about also is the review of the appeal that I mentioned to you guys. So if we're going to do the training on the 5th, are you all available to do the review of the appeal that next Thursday at 6 o'clock?
Well,
Does that work?
That's November the 12th.
That works for me.
Yeah, it works for me also.
Is that at
Should
6
be.
o'clock time as well?
It is. We try to meet at 6 o'clock when we have regular or special meetings. That seems to work best for folks.
And you said that would be a virtual meeting?
No, that's an in-person meeting. So that will be, because we just, the board decided at the meeting in July to meet virtually unless there's an appeal to review. And so since there's an appeal to review, then the meeting on the 12th will be at the convention center. Does that present an issue?
Fine. No, that's fine with me.
Okay, and we're using the convention center because we can do the social distancing and the mask and everything. The room's big enough, and we also have an additional room for in the event the appealing party decides to attend, where they can be allowed to attend until the board decides whether or not to call the appealing person into the room for questions.
Ido wants to participate.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
It was a joke. Never mind. I heard the dog.
Oh, okay. So
A quick question. Could I just raise a question? If we find that the Zoom meeting works as well or better than being spaced out across 2 ballrooms with microphones, could we revisit that decision?
of course, yes.
I put that out there for Tony to think about.
I need you all to think about it. I have no problems one way or the other. I think when we talked about it earlier, the reason why we said we would do the appeals in person is so that we could actually hear and see the person that's there, even though we can do it virtually. You can't get the vibe and get the feeling of the emotion involved in the particular case. And so that's why we made a decision to do appeals in person, so that we could actually hear everything and not miss anybody. Because
Well, I guess what I wonder is that, is the first meeting, do they come to that first meeting when we're looking at it to decide whether or not to have a hearing?
Sometimes they do and sometimes they don't. It just depends upon the individual.
Okay.
I think that the in-person, I agree with Tony, because it probably gives them less of a reason to, say they wouldn't fairly, to be able to face, the committee or face the review board.
Got it.
So just as a recap, we're going to do the training on November the 5th for new members and any other board members that just want a refresher course. We're going to do the appeal in person on November the 12th at 6 p.m. at the Benton Convention Center.
Correct. And I'll send out.
Excuse me. I'm not really sure how to state this. It's a 6 o'clock meeting in person. And I am type 2 diabetic, which means if I could request a snack or I can bring my own. But by 6, we usually try to keep my sugar levels straight. So I would like to request that, or I'm perfectly comfortable to bring my own. There's always a snack in my purse.
We'll
I've been struggling with my blood sugar rates recently, so we want to make sure that I'm not fainting during the appeal or anything.
we don't want you to faint. We'll provide something. It will be light, but we'll provide.
That's fine. That's fine. And I also will have something in my purse. Thank you.
Next on the agenda looks like the confidentiality pledge.
Yes, excuse me. Yes, that was included in the package as well. If you all will review the pledge, if you have any questions, just call me offline. Otherwise, sign it in front of a witness that's age appropriate, at least 18 years of age, and then send it in to me.
So everyone needs to do that again?
No, if you've already signed it, you're fine. It's just for the members who have not signed it. And if you can, get it to me before, well, as quickly as possible, because I really don't want to send out the package for review until I have your confidentiality pledge signed in my hand.
So just to confirm, if we are re-upping and not a new member, you already have that. Is that correct?
I will have Candace double check. We should already have one for the current members who have been reappointed. But if I for some reason we can't find it, I will let you know, because I want to make sure I have it for everybody before you all do that review on November 12th.
Angela, the next thing on here, I think you're gonna have to discuss also, which is the decision to serve on multiple city boards and commissions.
I think it was a committee member asked the question about how many boards and commissions a member can serve on.
Mr. McCullough.
Okay. And so there's a statute that addresses that. Essentially, 2 appointed boards, 1 elected, 1 appointed, or 2 appointed boards. And if there's a question about whether or not anyone's properly serving or serving on too many, just call me offline and we can discuss it. So that's why I provided the statute, because of the question that came up at the last meeting.
All right. Next thing on the agenda is talking about the 3-person nomination committee for presentation of slate of officers for January 21st of 2021. I am trying to refresh my memory who was on that committee originally.
I don't recall, but I think it changes every year. So you can always just ask for volunteers. I don't remember who was on it earlier.
So do we have any volunteers that want to be on that 3-person committee for nominating?
And that would be for the nominating chair and vice chair for next year.
I nominate the 3 new people.
What was that?
Huh?
I said, what was that?
I said I nominate the 3 new board members.
That's one way to get them involved.
Yeah.
That is definitely one way to get them involved.
And refresh my memory, what's involved on it?
It's basically just picking the chair and vice chair for the coming year.
It's coming up with the slate.
The slate.
So because you all will vote on it in January.
So the current chair, how long do you serve as chair or vice chair? Can he be re-upped?
We have done a good job of re-upping vice chairs and chairs. Me and Mike have been going back and forth.
Right.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if there were bylaws that indicated years of service or any of that.
Yes, let me check right quick.
Well, none of us can serve more than 6 consecutive years, nor can you serve in that role for more than 6 years. I mean, Tony could do it for the rest of his term if he says yes. I mean, I've read through all the stuff you sent, so that's why I know it.
That is correct. I just wanted to double check before I said that, because I didn't want to put Tony on the spot. But
me and Mike have always been willing to do whatever the master says, so I'm gonna just leave it at that. Mike, you want to chime in?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So we've seesawed back and forth, and so we continue that if you like us to.
So we can be the committee right now, right?
So why don't you? No, go ahead and follow the rules. Get the 3-person nominating committee, then you all can talk offline, come up with a slate, and bring it back in January.
I agree.
I think I don't mind serving on the committee, but I think since I am new and I speak for myself, that I would feel comfortable with somebody being on the committee who's been on the board or is familiar with how things have gone for the past few years. But I'd be more than happy to serve on the committee.
Okay, is that Brittany?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I'm a little bit in the same position with Brittany as well. I don't know exactly what the role entails or what would make a good person other than that they volunteer to do it, but what would make a good chair and vice chair. So not knowing any of you, I'm not sure that it would be more than a random pick.
Well, I certainly am willing to serve. So Pamela, it seems like you have a wonderful idea. You have the 3 new people.
And you, Pam.
If you all want to.
If a veteran could join the team, I don't mind serving as well.
Yeah.
So we have Mike, Brittany, myself. That's 3, but we need a veteran.
Well, so the committee is 3 people, correct?
That is correct. So
Okay.
why don't we have the CPRB, the board, vote on the 3 members who are willing to volunteer, and then I can sort of speak with you all offline about the process and kind of walk you through it. And if there are current members who want to be considered, of course, for chair and vice chair, you are welcome to contact one of the committee members to express that desire. But I'll work with you all offline. So why don't we have a vote on the 3 members who volunteered?
So
If you need somebody that has already served, I will be willing to do that. But if it doesn't matter, I mean, in other words, somebody who's already been on the board for a while, I'm happy to do it. I don't need that.
Let's just stick with the 3-person nominating committee, and I'll kind of work with them. It's a simple process, guys.
So
Let's vote on that, though.
So our 3 members committee would be Brittany, Mike, and Tawana, correct?
Correct.
Yes.
Are you ready for the question? All those in favor of those 3 for the, I guess I have the first and the second on that. I stepped out of line there.
I second. This is Beverly.
As chair, I can't first, so I need someone else to.
I'd move
Thank you, Pam.
those 3 people, Pamela here.
And second by Carla Levy. So
Yeah.
so it has been probably first and second that we accept Brittany, Mike, and Tawana as our elections committee for the coming year. Are you ready for the question? Ms. Stowe, would you like to take the votes?
Tony Burton,
Yes.
Brittany Spees,
Yes.
Michael Fraden,
Yes.
Tawana Roebuck,
Yes.
Pam Corbett,
Yes.
Mike Ricker,
Yes.
Theodis Chun,
Yes.
Beverly Carter Levy.
Yes.
That's it. 8.
All right, so that passes unanimously. All right. Looks like the next thing on our list is our next scheduled meeting, which would be January the 21st of 2021 at 6 p.m. At this stage of the game, my assumption would be it would be virtual, but we will revisit that and see. Any questions on that?
And that's your next regular meeting. You will have, of course, the special meeting on November 12th, and then your training on the 5th.
Correct.
Should probably end up being a special meeting, depending upon how many people we have participating.
I have a question regarding the special meetings. Is it possible that another meeting would stem from that?
Generally, what the process is, on the first meeting, you review in closed session all of the materials to determine whether or not a hearing is warranted. So if you decide to hold a hearing, then yes, there will be another meeting. It will be the actual hearing itself.
Okay.
But you will
All right,
decide, if you decide to hold a hearing, then you'll decide at that first meeting, the date and so forth for the hearing.
I have a question.
Okay. Thank you.
This may be covered in new member training or something, but conflict, how do you handle conflicts, potential conflicts with either the police department or the person making the complaint?
Great question, Mike. I was going to ask that as well.
It will be handled at the first meeting before you actually get started, because because right now you don't know who's involved in the complaint. But once you get the materials, then we'll discuss before you actually end up discussing the details of the complaint, whether or not there is a conflict and you need to be excused from the process. So we'll handle that at the meeting to review the appeal itself.
Thank you.
Because at that point, you should have the name of the person that filed the complaint and appeal, as well as all of the officers involved.
And I'm correct that you mailed that out, right? Because I think the last appeal, we got the information prior to the meeting.
Oh, yes, you will get it prior to the meeting. It's a sizable stack of materials. It'll be under confidential cover. And as I've indicated before, you cannot disclose anything about the appeal itself. It's all confidential. That's why it's, the meeting is conducted in closed session.
Okay.
And new members, it is a stack about this big, just so you know. It's about 100 pages.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe not.
Well,
And this comes,
that last
this
one was
comes in,
100 pages.
and this comes in mail, right?
Yes.
It does. It does.
There's a whole lot of material to review beforehand.
Is that going to provide us with the date of November the 5th for the new member training, and then November the 12th? Is that going to provide us enough time to go through that documentation?
If you get your confidentiality pledge into me, if I have it from everybody, so I encourage you to get it to me quickly, I will send the packages out even before November 5th. So I will get the actual packages for review for that November 12th meeting to you all fairly quickly, probably within a week or two after this meeting, and probably before the 5th.
So with the older members who already completed the confidentiality form, you'll be able to send that on to us?
I'd like to have everybody's form in, but if it looks like they're kind of coming in staggered, I'll go ahead and put it in the mail for the people who've already signed.
Okay.
I like to try to do a mass mailing at one time, but if I have to, I'll separate it.
And Angela, you did say that the agreement needs to be signed by a witness as well?
Yes.
Okay.
So, Attorney Angela, could you perhaps send
Just
us
call me Angela.
Okay, could you send us a meeting request or an outline that's all of our meetings so that perhaps we could put them on our calendar? Do we have like a do we have like a set time that we meet, like the second Thursday or whatever it is, so that we could go on and isolate that on our calendar?
You do. You meet quarterly for the regular meetings, January, April, July, and October. And so I'll send those to you. What is it, the third Thursday? And it's always 6 o'clock.
So a meeting request might be helpful.
Sure.
Thank you.
In case you haven't had a chance to look at the information that was sent out, it is in there. It does talk about when these meetings are scheduled.
And I know I sent out a lot.
Yeah, you did.
All right, this is Beverly. Will we be making the determination each meeting as to whether the next meeting will be virtual or not?
Well, I think that was part of the discussion earlier in terms of review, I guess, going back and looking at that initial decision. And you all can always decide you want to handle it on a per meeting basis. But yes, you can look at it at the next meeting. But I think right now, since the initial decision was to do the review in person, I think we should go ahead and try to do that one in person. And you can decide on the 12th whether or not you want to hold the next meeting in person and or virtually and so forth.
Regarding the regarding the appeals that come in, I know you said those need to be generally heard within 30 days. Is it just random dates that are picked, or do you try and handle more than one, if there is more than one, at a meeting and hold them together, or how does that work?
Generally, it's difficult to try to do more than one at a meeting because of the amount of materials that one appeal by itself requires you all to review. And it's kind of rare that we get more than one appeal at the same time anyway. But so you're probably looking at just one appeal per meeting. And if you end up having an additional appeal within a short time period after that prior one that's filed, then yes, it says 30 days unless there are extenuating circumstances. And if we can't get together until, sometime after that 30-day time period, especially considering the circumstances, then that's just what happens.
How many on average, I mean, may not be able to answer this, in a year do you have appeals?
Anywhere from, I think, 3 to 5. I think it's probably closer to 3, if I recall correctly.
Thank you.
Now, there are more complaints
So
that are
I've been on
filed.
the board for just 3 years. I've just been on the board for 3 years. If memory serves me, we have only had one review
Okay.
in 3 years.
Okay.
So it's been, that's the good news, actually. All the way
Yeah,
around.
I was getting ready to say more complaints are filed than there are appeals. And one may think, based upon that, perhaps the complaining party was satisfied with the disposition of the complaint. But there are very few appeals that are filed. And I think I still have the report we did. Was it about a couple of months ago, Tony? The media had asked for that information. I can pull that back up. And it may be that I'm recalling it was 3 appeals over a 5-year time period. It was some time period that they asked for the number of appeals, and we provided that information. I'll be happy to pull it up and send it out to everyone again.
Thank you.
All right. I don't have anything else on the bottom of my agenda. Is there anything for the good of the order, as I like to say? If not, then I'll entertain a motion to close.
So moved, Pamela.
Second.
We don't even need a second on that one. Let's get out of here. Everyone be safe.
I'll let you go with that.
You let me go with that one, Angela. You know, I'm a little bit out of order on that one, but you let me slide on that one.
Yeah,
But
I'll
everyone
let you
keep
go.
safe. Hope you are enjoying your time. I know Zoom is different for us. We are definitely in the new norm, and we'll have to make those adjustments accordingly. But let's continue to be safe. Wear your mask when you're out. Practice social distancing. That is my speech. Make sure you get out and vote. That's the other part of my speech. Doesn't matter who you vote for, just make sure you vote. And everybody have a pleasant evening. Thanks a lot.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.